Most people think generational wealth means leaving a trust fund, but the families who are actually pulling it off, they're passing down something you can't put in a brokerage account. Today, we're discussing how to build real generational wealth. Stay tuned.
Welcome to a Wiser Retirement Podcast, where we cut through the noise and bring you real, honest conversations about investing, retirement, and building lasting wealth. No sales pitches, no gimmicks, just insights to help you stop guessing and start planning your financial future.
Welcome to a Wiser Retirement Podcast. I'm Casey Smith. Today, I'm joined with Senior Financial Advisor Shauna Theriault. We'll be discussing how do you build generational wealth. Hey, Shauna.
Hello.
Welcome back to the podcast. I feel like it's your podcast now. You've done so many episodes.
I don't know about that, but
All right, so let's dive into this. How do you build generational wealth? I mean,
see, I think the whole misnomer about generational wealth, it's like you think tens of millions of dollars and you think about, you know what I mean?
Like
you think about this
Kennedy and Rockefeller.
I can't have generational wealth, but that's not even true.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like my favorite stories or my favorite things are like you take someone who came from nothing and made themselves into, and everybody is somebody, that's not what I mean, but they came from very modest beginnings where they didn't maybe learn a lot about money or they didn't have access to opportunity, and they created their own opportunity. And then they get to make sure that their next generation didn't have the same struggles that they had. But there's a problem with that. The problem with that is that the grit that they went through to get to where they are is not always passed along to the next generation because they didn't have to fight for that. And so sometimes, trying to keep that all, understanding the value of a dollar and I just feel like I see that
how
a
to
lot.
work for something,
how to respect and, not be frivolous, or there's a certain dynamic or, grit created when you go through that to where you appreciate and it's not frivolous, and we're just talking about money. There's so many other things in a family, obviously, but it just creates opportunity to have options. And I don't know, passing that on, I think, is really more important, than just the money part, because if you don't know what you're doing with the money, then,
I relate to that in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I came from just middle-class family, but my grandfather, as a pastor, was a member of a country club. And I always felt like I was a bit of a guest, because technically I wasn't a member. He was. But I remember seeing all the wealth, thinking, wow, like there's a whole world I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that had a lot to do with what I wanted to build for myself. But I had to work to go figure all that out. I worked 2 careers for 12 years to build what you see today at this company. I also see it from an employer standpoint that the best employees are the ones who've had to work to get to where they are, even as young people. You can see it in young people.
You can.
Where we've had the more successful, entitled young people not work here very long because they just don't know how to work.
They don't have the drive, the self-starter.
Correct. Figure things out.
Figure out
problem
ability.
Solver. Sometimes I think if you're a good problem solver, it comes from solving your own problems for so many years. Like, okay, I can't get to point B or from A to B, but how am I going to figure this out? So those are the people I look for, is coming out of adversity in some sense. Right. There's a book written called The Adversity Effect. And I definitely related to that as a former Barry board member. He's since passed away that wrote that book. But yeah, but how do you, so for the second generation of that, is you're a airline pilot and now you're making $600,000+ a year. You live well below your means. You're saving all this money. Maybe your parents have passed away. You inherited assets already.
Yeah.
How do your kid hasn't wanted for really anything.
No.
So how do you pretend like you don't have the money and you just make them work for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so, I feel like it's hard to do that as a parent when you got the extra dollar sitting in your pocket.
Hard. It is hard.
At the same time, you want them to have opportunities you never had.
Right. It's a hard balance. As a parent, I struggle with that.
I mean, I probably would have been on a college golf team somewhere if I had the
means.
The means. Instead, I was mowing yards and working.
Yeah, but that's why you built this. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I go back and forth. I go back and forth. It's
totally.
It's like with my first two kids, they had such these strong passions and wanted to compete at these super high levels. Like, okay, well, your job is to be good at that. And so we're going to set goals and we're going to measure your success against the goals that you set every single year. So you're working towards something, not just be like,
see, that's a good habit though.
This.
So I think it's about the person who came up through, and sometimes we learn this too late when raising kids, right? Because we're trying to figure it out. So it's like the person that came up through, it's like, how can you pass that down? And it really is by living in the habits that you create and being the example of the habits you create. And so, not just throwing money at it, not just, being that, it's really, I think, discipline and leading yourself well so that they don't always follow.
Yeah.
But if you keep with the same theme or try to, so that way they, follow what you're doing, they may fall a few times, but maybe they'll gravitate towards what you're doing because they see it works.
Yeah.
There's this quote that I love. And it's really all about habits because I feel like, when we meet with clients, we're looking at their financial situation, and sometimes clients come in and they're like, well, I did all this because my parents had nothing, or I couldn't do any of this because my parents had nothing, Right. So it's like, what habits did you create out of that, which you don't want to do or what you want to do because you didn't follow them? But there's this awesome quote, and I think I've said it on the air before, and it's, and I don't know whose quote it is. I think Les Brown potentially, but if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. And if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. And life's never easy. But if you do the things in the beginning to set yourself up for success and lead yourself well and, financially and in health and in, just leading yourself well, then you'll have more options. But if you continuously just keep doing what's easy and not paying attention and ignoring it, what seems like easy now creates less options for you in the future, and it makes it harder to fix later. Because undoing the habits that you learned as a child or that you taught your children, that is the hardest thing because it's like ingrained in you. And whether or not you purposely, you just absorb things, So I think in the example you're giving, being able to lead yourself well in what you're doing, giving back, being disciplined, not being frivolous, and showing and leading by example and creating those habits in your family gives them a foundation to lean on.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it creates the grit. It's still not there.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, it's, I would say neither one of them have been, successful as others. If that makes sense? Or I don't mean this in a derogatory way.
No.
But my son in his golf, he's done well, better than most.
Yeah.
But he's not like this 18-year-old that just got on the PGA Tour.
Is that 18-year-old like just a natural?
Oh yeah, it's a natural God-given talent.
Or is it because he came up through adversity and pushed himself in a way that
he had to push himself, and he had bad days, I'm sure. But he, I look at it as like, it's raining outside, it's hot, it's whatever, but he's still on the range hitting golf balls because he's got to figure something out. Mm-hmm. Right. So as long as you're putting in the discipline, there's never been a coach that said he wasn't trying. Right now, if you're not trying and you're just kind of coasting and you're living the golf boy frat life, right, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's there. So I think and to turn this back around and to be more general, I think that you can, if they're passionate about something and you show that you work hard at it, then I think you can get to what we're talking about, even though you have means, right?
Right.
You can always level up. I mean, Yeah, I still live in the same house I lived in 2007. It's been remodeled twice now.
Yeah.
But it's just a normal house, and all their friends at school, we never had anything done at our house because they were like, oh no, our house is so small compared to my friend who's got 12,000 square feet and his dad's a brain surgeon or something. Right. So I feel like I've left some on the table for them to say, if you want that, then you go build something yourself and go do that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also very conscious of making sure that my passions in life do not have to be theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I wanted to build a wealth management firm. I've always loved airplanes. I've always loved investing, and which turned into planning eventually. But that's my passion. I'm not putting that on them. You're going to see my kids running this firm someday. Right now, probably not.
Yeah.
And there's no pressure, and I'm not disappointed because right, I'm getting to live my life.
Right.
I want them to go live their life.
Right.
I think about this. This is an example. I'm not comparing myself to Rockefeller, but you think about Rockefeller. His son did not take over that empire. His son took over the philanthropy of the family because he was really passionate about helping community and helping people. Mm-hmm. So he took the wealth and then he created all these things that you see with the Rockefeller name on it. And so it's okay. What I think is if you create wealth, as long as it allows people to pursue their passions. What if you have a son or a daughter that's really good at art and they want to pursue that? And maybe they're going to be a well-known artist. It takes a while for that to happen.
Yeah.
But
most artists don't even become well-known until they pass away.
That's true.
And then there's limited amounts. Like we have a client who's an artist and he's going to be famous one day, but he's like, I'm going to be famous when I die.
I know one artist right now that I think is trying to change that. He does folk art. His name's Cornbread. You can look him up. Cornbread. He signs everything Cornbread.
I love it.
But we were at a shop up in Northwest Georgia that sells a lot of his stuff. And the lady at the cash register is like, well, he's thinking about stopping doing this now. He's going to probably retire from painting for a while. It's like, that's a great story to tell people to pay these crazy prices for what it's limited. For what he is limited. Is like, oh, he's done painting. We're going to have to buy all this right now for sticker price, I was like, wait a minute. He's just trying to round up the price, but he's not actually dead. He's just genius.
It's a great business move.
Right?
It's a great business move.
But again, I think it's setting goals and standards. Our youngest, he's kind of wavering in what his passion is. He's the one most likely to be working at Chick-fil-A at this point. Because if he wants something, I'm kind of like, okay, well, go wash the car.
You get really good training at Chick-fil-A, though. Like anybody who's ever worked there comes out and it's like
that's not derogatory at all. I was relating it to myself. My first job was bussing tables at Johnny's Barbecue in Powder Springs, Georgia.
Yeah,
and Mr. Johnny would pay me under the table cash. And I looked it up. Hiring a 14-year-old is hard.
Yeah.
With all the new laws.
Yeah.
So the part of me is like, we need to go find you a job. And then I was like, oh, well, the world's changed a little bit. At 15, we're going to find you a job.
Yeah. 14 is kind of hard. Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I think to get that grit that we're talking about, I think it goes back probably to goal setting. It's okay. If you do this, then it unlocks this. And maybe that's it, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe some people
people are just driven though. They're not, or they are.
That's true.
Even if you set goals, if they're not excited about them, that's what's hard. Is like, how do you get them excited about things? It has to be something they're passionate about.
And sometimes too much wealth. Like I saw it in one of my son's friends. The family has so much wealth that the poor kid has so many options that he could do with his life, all paid for, whatever he wants to do.
You're like, what?
He did nothing.
Yeah.
He did nothing.
Maybe he just doesn't have.
And he's coming along.
Yeah.
He's coming along. He went to college for a semester and he's like, I don't know. I really don't like this. Doesn't have to be in college. Doesn't have to think about where the next dollar comes from. Everything's already paid for.
Yeah.
So it creates a kind of a situation of, okay, well, what am I going to do with my life? And as my son said, well, he has so many options that no option is what he's kind of gone with.
I have seen families, I would say a lot of our wealthy, what I would say wealthy, meaning retirable, or they have a lot of excess. Because you could be wealthy having $2 million if you spend $40,000 a year.
Yeah,
you know
right,
what I mean?
right.
So it matters what you spend.
True.
But I've seen some families that are wealthier. They just live very modestly. They drive the 10-year-old cars. They, it's a very modest. Or I've seen it where, they have a lot of wealth. They could easily pay for 100% of the child's college. And they're like, well, we're going to pay for 50% because they need some skin in the game, and it maybe eventually we'll pay off their student loans, and maybe eventually we'll do, something different. But that way they have skin in the game and they take it seriously. Because if you're paying your own way partially, you take it seriously.
I mean, generational wealth, I think typically starts where it's, we're saying it's grit. You earned it. You built a business,
right?
Or you just saved money. You're a C-suite executive who worked their way their entire life to get there, or you inherited assets from multiple sides of the family, whatever it is. I think it's the lifestyle that I think we're probably talking about.
Exactly. Because you can have someone, because none of those things, they just disciplined and saved and they spent within their means and saved first, didn't rack up debt.
I mean, there's been a few times when people inherited money and it's like, I inherited $8 million from my parents. Can you believe this? Like, he would never buy dinner. I had no idea he had this much money. This is crazy because we thought we were dirt poor.
Some of them were in the Great Depression era and they didn't spend anything.
They didn't spend anything.
Understandably, they stood in soup lines or they saw their families do that,
So really, I think what we're talking about is generational wealth is you've already created it. How do you get it to the next generation?
Right.
And I don't know that
responsibly meaning like,
I think, and we're totally kind of off our show notes now, and that's fine. This is how you and I have conversations, but maybe it's not about dollars. Maybe it's not about, we talking about wealth, obviously, but maybe, what does wealth mean? Maybe
it depends on different people. It's different things.
Maybe it's not dollars. Maybe wealth is just understanding how to manage money.
Yeah.
Maybe that's wealth in itself. That maybe that's generational of not having tons of credit card debts. And
because I can tell you there are tons and tons of families, including myself, where, it's what is generation or what is wealth? Wealth is having options, feeling financially secure that if something comes up, you can cover it. It is working towards retirement or being retirable and being able to still support your family and live a good life, not a lavish life, but a good life where you are comfortable and you're not stressing about the smallest things, you can handle issues that come up. And then, not being a burden to your children in the future, being able to cover medical expenses in the future, being able to travel and do some things for them or to give back to, some charities. And then, most people, they're not trying to leave necessarily. They would like to leave some sort of inheritance if there's anything left. I would say the majority of people are like, well, I'm not trying to leave $5 million to my kids, but if there's money left, that'd be great. Because how great would it be if you spent your whole life being comfortable, not stressing about money, not getting into debt, being able to help your kids start on the right foot, maybe even help your grandkids a little bit, give back. And then at the end, you're comfortable and you leave them some so they can continue that on. I mean, that's the American dream, I would think. I mean, I would say most people operate within that would make them happy and feel.
I think there's another layer to that. I mean, I think about the young people at our firm now that all are going to be probably first generation wealth.
Yes.
And
because they were the ones
they're the ones
diversity,
the diversity and the
that
grit.
end up staying here that make really great employees and connect with people.
They want to buy houses. They've, the young ones are starting to get married and
so expensive.
Maybe they're going to have children the next few years and they don't want to live in an apartment anymore, but what do you need for a down payment right now? Probably to have a reasonable payment. I mean, you probably need almost $100,000, right?
Right.
To have a
And there's other programs you can do less down, but if you're doing this traditional 20%.
But if you're trying to keep your payment reasonable.
Right.
$400,000 mortgage seems to be pretty normal for a young person.
Yeah.
So that's about $100,000, $500,000 house.
Yeah.
$500,000, probably a condo maybe for $500,000.
Yeah.
I mean, a house would be a tear down at $500,000.
You can find houses outside of the perimeter
if you go
somewhat,
if you go outside,
or that maybe need a little bit of work.
If you go outside the city limits of Marietta, Georgia, yes.
Yeah.
You could probably, your commute be 45 minutes to an hour.
You can in California.
$500,000 would probably get you the front door. You can buy a front door for
$2 million for 1,000 square feet or something,
right.
you know,
something stupid,
something crazy.
Yeah. So you think about, when you think generational wealth, do you not think about maintaining the same standard of living for the kids as they go forward? And if that's the case, then you would have to have some type of a fund for them to help them buy a house.
Yeah.
What about making sure that you don't go through adversity again? Maybe it's educational funding for the next generation or two. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, these are all,
because that helps the child and the grandchild, you know.
Yeah.
It helps both of them.
It makes sure the family doesn't go below a certain line.
But some people may not aspire to have a big house, or like, I don't know. It depends.
A big house, just a house.
Yeah.
Just a house.
I agree. But the standard of living, it depends on what the standard of living, I guess when you said true. Standard of living, that's what it brought me to.
Flying first class, doing Caribbean vacations in December.
Right.
But just a standard of living.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make sure that the family stays
comfortable, have options.
We're not.
They can handle
living
problems.
in neighborhoods that you're getting shot at.
Right.
Things of that nature.
They can buy groceries and it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Save for retirement and save for education.
Start off life at least in the neutral category, not in the deficit category.
Right. Which so many young people are because of student loans. And
so what is that? What's the goal then? Is it, hey, I got you through college. You don't have any loans.
Yes.
Here's $100,000 for a down payment on a home.
Yes.
And what?
You know,
is that what we're aspiring to? Is that generational wealth?
I think so. I mean, that's what we've put into place. It's like, we're going to pay for college. We pay for your braces. We bought your first car brand new. Mm-hmm. And here's a custodial account for a down payment to get you, like, we never had that. And it's like, that's what we've created. And it would be modest for probably a very rich family that has a lot of money, but it's still, to me, it's like that is giving them a first start on the, you know, I would have loved to have had that, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the same person probably though.
Right. I flew with a guy when I was flying Atlantic Southeast Airlines, which is a Delta Connection carrier. His last name is Candler. He was part of the Koch family. Mm. And one day I just asked him, I said, I knew you have a trust fund. Like, why are you flying? He's like, well, part of my trust requires that I have a job, that I work. Mm. So it's like, what better profession than being an airline pilot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, you know, that's not an easy road. A lot of training. You could have just gotten a job somewhere else, but that's what his trust said.
Well, that's the flip side of it too, because I honestly have met many individuals that are in that situation and they don't want everything handed to them.
They want to know that it is someone they're
correct. Because living up to that, like, think about it. If your parents are like ultra wealthy or you're in this family, it's like, I don't want to just hand it to me, because then it's kind of like, everybody looks, I don't know if they look down on you, or you feel like you want to do something yourself. And so they'll go out and get a job or try, you know, go to make a name for themselves outside of the family, not even work for the family business. I've seen that many times. It's like, I don't want to go work for dad. I don't want to go work for mom, because I want to show that I can do this on my own. I need to prove to myself I can do this on my own. And it's not just handed to me.
That depends on the person. I think it's really easy to flip back the other direction, though.
Yes, I agree.
And problems can come in there.
Not all financial advice is created equal. Available now. Everything your financial advisor won't tell you. An eye-opening book that reveals what's really happening inside the financial industry and what it takes to build a plan that actually works. Because what you don't know could be costing you.
I think it's, two thoughts. One, my brother-in-law, he builds homes down in Hilton Head. He had done some work for someone in the Maybelline family. Mm. And the gentleman how my brother-in-law tells the story is that I think he's like the fourth or fifth generation never to work, but they are required to sit on charitable boards.
Okay.
So there must be something in there about sitting on charitable boards or something along those lines, what we gathered. But I think going back to what we're trying to accomplish here is, again, instilling what your family brand is, what your story is.
Mm-hmm.
My children are all very good about behaving outside the house. And I've always instilled on them is like, when you step foot out of this door, you represent my company, Wiser Wealth Management, because you may run into people who don't know anything else other than work me and what I do. You also represent God. You also represent the family as a whole. Mm-hmm. So how you interact and treat people is a direct representation onto your family. And we've done that since they're real little. And so that has helped in a lot of situations in school, especially. Mm-hmm. And then when Ethan got his D1 golf scholarship, I reminded him, because you have that you're getting it for about almost 2 years, right, before you graduate. And so I said, hey, there's other kids, they have really wealthy parents in your school, and they have attorneys and everybody at their beck and call. And if they do something stupid, they're going to have a whole bunch of people trying to get them out of it. I'm telling you right now, like, you have the most to lose, because they're just living their best lives in high school, and you already moved beyond high school at this point. And if you lose a scholarship, that's on you.
Yeah.
So it's you have to reiterate sometimes, what your family's mission or purpose is. Some people don't even have family missions, but
right.
I would say that is that's one way of leaving that legacy. But I go back to, it's not just about money.
No,
money sometimes can be a burden, but it's really what you're instilling, the work ethic that you're instilling on the next generation. And I think allowing them to, this is a privilege, allowing them to pursue their passions.
Yeah.
With 100% vigor. Right.
Yeah. Because anything that they're passionate about, they're going to do hopefully well, because they have that's where they're driven.
But setting standards, setting goals.
Right.
This is what you need to do to get, because I think that's replicating it through work. You're getting $1 to do something that you want to do. Right.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to better yourself. And I think whether it be the sports and being at the top level of your sport, if you're just average at it, then perhaps that needs to be more of a hobby. You don't need to be in travel baseball. You just do rec league, and you instill, hey, you got to have a job. You got to, learn responsibilities. And,
I do think that athletes or sports in particular, it's so competitive now in all aspects of school with the young individuals. All three of our daughters were competitive cheerleaders. And I wouldn't say that they reached the top of the pinnacle of cheer career, although a couple of them did win really large competitions, several of them that were extremely hard to achieve. But I would still say it created a balance in them where they still had to juggle school and practice, and they still had to say no to a lot of fun things because they had practice or, sacrifices there, and then taking instruction from coaches or other people, and then winning as a team, losing as a team, lifting up others, even when maybe you don't like them very much. I just feel like there's so many life lessons and a different drive for the sacrifices, the early morning practices, the late things that are created, even if they're average, that helps them in their long-term careers and in their families in the future. I feel like that.
So what if you just have what I call a normal child? I have one of these that is not, maybe they're just more social, or they just like a lot of different things. And what do you do there?
That's good to have balance too, where they're not pigeonhole themselves into something where it's like a love-hate relationship with cheer or something, So, I think there's a good balance there. They can still be disciplined, like we make our beds in the morning and we pick up our stuff, and we, there's still things that you can teach.
Or academic,
that's right? They may have more time for that, where they can focus on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard. I know there's some parents that struggle. I feel lucky in that I never had this, and I don't know if it's just because of the way that our house is, but your house can be a certain way and your kids act completely different than what you're trying to do. So it's like they're their own people. But, I know there's a lot of parents that struggle where their kids are lazy or not doing anything, not doing well in school, not helping at the house, and they're just playing video games and they're, or they're getting into trouble, or I don't know. So I don't know how to handle those necessarily. Maybe there's something else going on there, but just someone who is average. I mean, I think a lot of us are average. I think we all have strengths that we can, I think as a parent, trying to find what that strength is or help them find that strength, I think is good. Because it's great to be well-rounded too, and to do multiple things, and not, hone in on one necessarily. But I think it's being flexible and understanding.
It goes back to goal setting.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? What do you want to try? It's using, you have wealth, use that to allow your child to experience different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're going through this now with it. My youngest is like, he's not really super passionate about baseball anymore. He's pretty good at it, but he really wants to learn more about racing. He loves cars and mechanical things.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan, if that's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Other children, they're so pursuing what they're so passionate about that we didn't really have to explore that much. It was more of understanding what is it they could do within what they were doing. Right. And with him.
So they were more of the driver of it.
Yes, exactly.
And you were kind of like, what can I do to help you? And they were
support
more,
you
and they're the driver of that. So it was driven and it was instigated by them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When Ethan was 9 years old, I remember people saying, are you like forcing him to go to the golf tournament or to the golf course to learn how to play golf? I was like, absolutely not. He can't drive. I mean, we have to go drop and pick him up every day. And if he wasn't out there, if he did bad in a tournament, he was 9 years old, he'd turn to me and goes, I need to be at the golf course more.
Exactly. Well, from the outside looking in, some people think that, but it's like, no, I promise you, we're paying an obscene amount of money to do all these things and like travel. It's like everyone thought, baby Lily, my youngest, was like, oh, well, you're just making her do it because the other two do it. Well, the other two don't do it anymore, and she's still doing it. So, I didn't force her to do anything. Yeah.
Where the younger one, we might decide, and I'm talking with my wife about this, is like, we may have to actually go in some college tours very early to say, okay, like your grades are going to have to be here to get to where you want to go. So we're going to go tour 3 college campuses.
Ooh.
And we're going to like put the goal out there for you. Because this is going to be a long 4 years, right? If you're kind of an average student, you got to get some AP stuff. And if you want to go to Purdue and you really want to work in F1, then you have to put the hard work in now to be able to get there, to then eventually get there. Right?
That's a good idea, actually, to take them to different campuses, even in middle school.
Yeah.
And say, okay, everyone talks about UGA or whatever. Yeah, everybody talks about these schools.
Half of them have never actually been there.
Exactly. Here's this experience. Here's this experience. Here's a couple more where it's a little more, a little easier to get into.
Right.
Let them create their own drive.
Right.
Because you can't, ultimately they have to do the work to get themselves in and do the grades. So it's like, if they're not driven to do it, you can't force them.
No.
I mean, you can force them as much as possible, but if they're not going to do the studying, they're not going to put the time in, and they're not going to love it, then,
For me, I need to see what I'm looking toward usually.
Yes.
For me in high school, after it was all over, looking back on it, I was like, probably should have done a little better in some of those classes.
Yeah.
At the time, basketball or social things were more important, right? But looking back, it's like, oh, if I'd done a little better here, then I could have been over there.
I feel like a lot
in the end, it worked out.
A lot of juniors and seniors feel that because there's, especially, and I'm sure this is true in every state, when they're going to apply to different colleges locally, it's really hard to get into a lot of the state schools here. I know that's true in Florida as well. And so you don't really feel it until everyone's applying and you're not getting in places. You have 2 options because, and you may have been an average student, but you weren't here.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, if I would have done just a little bit more, maybe I could have had more opportunities, but you don't know until you're there. And sometimes you feel it when it's, you're looking around at others going, oh, I didn't realize, because I feel like there's many times where there's given things.
Then that goes back into how do you leave a legacy? How do you transfer wealth? I think that's one of the things.
The habits.
Is habits, but also helping the next generation look forward, whether they're just living for today, going, hey, these are the things I wish I could have done better.
Yeah.
And we all have old people that maybe tell us that we don't pay attention, but maybe there's a family meeting. Maybe it's like, okay, like these are the things that I learned. I'm reading.
So good.
I'm reading this. I'm reading this book. It's called The Smuggler. It's by Roger Greaves. This is a guy that has nothing to do with finance whatsoever, but he's an aviation guy.
I hope not a smuggler.
Aviation guy that got caught smuggling drugs back in the 70s, 80s, I guess. Spent 30 years in prison. But he started the book off with writing about, typically we don't know who our great-great-grandfather is. We don't know what they did. And so he has crazy stories, just crazy stories. And he said, I'm writing this. He has I think he has 2 daughters. So my kids will know my story. And obviously flying drugs to and from Mexico to the U.S. He's got some crazy stories.
I'm sure.
Crazy stories.
I'm sure. It's a world we don't even know or want to know.
Just airplane stuff that he did. I was like, that's crazy. And I'm reading the book. I'm going, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. And then a few chapters later, icing, spiraling out of control. I'm like, yep, that's what happens.
I could have seen that coming.
But it's been kind of a instead of watching TV at night, I just kind of read this book, and there's just some funny stories, and also a time his family was had a farm near Jimmy Carter's. In fact, he wrote Jimmy Carter at one point, and Jimmy Carter got him out of jail, and he found himself obviously back in jail many years later. The point of all that is that. We don't know our stories. I've even thought about this. My grandfather passed away, 98 years old, just a few weeks ago, May 18th, actually. And I was thinking, it's like his service was so good, and so many people there for 98-year-old impacted. He was a pastor, and he affected so many people's lives. But when I was driving away from all that, I was thinking to myself, how is the next generation? I mean, my youngest son kind of barely knows him. Right. My oldest son, a lot more, because there's a big difference. Won't. And my grandkids would never know him. And I started thinking more about that. My grandmother was a writer, and I found in the house a whole manuscript of a book where she wrote her best friend every day for, it appears to be about 10 years. And you start reading it. There's stories about me. There's stories about my sister. There's stories about my grandfather in there. And so I have all this. And since we just wrote a book, Shauna.
I know. Yeah.
There's 2 versions of it, which I found out she was going to get it published, and something happened. The lady left the publishing company. And this is before Amazon and all this other stuff, right? You self-publish. I found out that there was a second version that changed everyone's names. Because I saw a letter from the publisher said that, we need to change people's names because they might, you might be upsetting people. I'm like, hey, all these people are probably gone now. Right. Well, if they're still here, we didn't say it. It's just in the book. And I don't know exactly what it says because I haven't read all the scripts. But I was thinking about maybe hiring like a literature major in college as an intern here and start working through this and say, hey, how can we publish these writings? It's more than one book at this point. But in what Roger did in his book, he's still living out of prison, but he's telling all these stories, and what a great way to pass that in this next generation. So to kind of bring that back into our conversation is how are you telling your story? And we've had podcasts in the past I think in the 100s about this, but it's more of how are people going to know you? Right. I mean, we have a gentleman who puts money into his a children's trust account. I think I told this about in the last episode, so I apologize for repeating myself. But he was like, no one's going to know who I am in 30 years, so we're going to name this trust after myself. And in 30 years, these kids will be pulling money out of this trust, and they're going to know exactly who I am. And we all kind of laughed about it, but it's so true, though. Yeah. I mean, how do you tell your family story that the family understands who they are, what they're about, what their sense of purpose is, and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. No,
right?
I think that's beautiful. I don't think most families look at it like that. I don't think that most of them look at it as that's our story and we're trying to, and that's what we try to pull them out.
It's like a bunch of
family
individual
mission.
stories, I
Right.
guess, and not where they came from.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
If you build a successful business and your kids have trust funds and they can go build a $2 million house and it's basically paid for, and that kind of lifestyle, how did you get this house?
Yeah.
My grandfather started a chicken company, and now
Yeah.
we sell chicken to Chick-fil-A and et cetera, right?
Right.
So how do we do that, but do it on like a normal person level?
I mean, I think it is having those annual meetings or talking about the hard in the families and being open. I think generationally, generations ago, they didn't talk about money. They didn't talk about stuff in the family, but I feel like it's more open now. So I definitely wrote down some ideas, like, to be able to talk to my family about.
Well, I think maybe we give people some practical tips. We're all just kind of talking in theory and ideas. But to start building wealth is, I say it's simple. It's hard to do in this today's society, but it's living below your means.
Right. Saving first. Yeah.
So if you start saving and building, and you will have generational wealth to pass on for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's also teaching kids. Can you imagine like your dad sitting you down and saying, okay, I probably didn't save the best I could have, but these are the things I learned in life that I want you to consider.
Right.
At what age will we listen to that? Probably nothing with a teen on the end of it.
I still think it's good for them to hear it. Because they learn about the stock market in like 7th grade in Georgia.
Yeah.
And I thought it was always fun pulling up their custodial account and showing them their investments. I showed it to them.
Yeah.
Hoping they would connect
it.
And now that I have 2 that are out of the house, they're putting money in their custodial accounts, which is awesome. And they both started Roth IRAs.
You know what?
And Allie, it was her idea. She's like, can I do a Roth IRA? She had heard us mention it. And she's like, can we do it this year? And I matched her.
Yeah.
So she put in her money. I put in, we made sure it was below how much she made, but
Right.
I matched her.
Yeah.
And so she's watching that account now. And so, and started her own brokerage account and her own bank account.
I think there's probably a lot of people listening that are like, I should have done this, but I didn't.
It's never too
So
late
I guess
to
what I'm
start.
trying to say is you're going to have to reverse track a little bit.
Yes.
You might have adult children that aren't doing the best with their money. And you're going to have to probably approach the conversation with humility.
Yep.
And say, look, you're not doing great because maybe I should have told you these things, but I didn't know them at the time. So you didn't see me act this way. So now I should be acting this way. This is what I've learned looking back on it.
Yes.
And I want to do better, and you want to do better, and let's work through this. Let's create goals, and let's work on
Help
doing
each other.
helping each other and do these goals. That takes a lot of humility to do that.
But that's what it requires, and that's what it is in a real connected relationship, though, is to be that open and honest and and to be, whether it's a positive thing or something that you're trying to course correct, which is a positive thing. I think, I think that's what an open and connected relationship is, and a secure relationship is that you can openly talk about those things or start the conversations there. And I don't think it's ever too late to start. It's never too late to start, changing the way we do things, to rebuild ourselves, to reinvent yourself, to reconnect with someone, to change, or adjust what you've been doing. I mean, we're built to change. We start changing from the time we're born until we die. Yeah. So, I don't think it's ever too late.
Sometimes you don't pass down dollars, you pass down even a work ethic. I remember, and we'll probably wrap this up on this topic here, but I remember playing golf with a guy, and I was kind of teasing him because he had a really nice lifestyle, but a lot of it was just given through a massive inheritance to get money out of an estate of his parents.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I remember we were doing something. I remember walking off the green and he was asking me something. And I said, I haven't got my trust fund yet or something like that. He's kind of digging at him a little bit. And he stopped and he said, well, I don't know. I know a little bit about your family. Cause I think I had told him at one point, my dad worked at Delta Airlines and I think he'd only called in sick maybe 1 or 2 days in like almost a 30-year career. Right. And then there was a point in his life where he worked 2 jobs to pay for the household. He worked at night at Delta. He worked in the daytime at a company called Airborne Express. And my mom had to clean houses for a long time. They just did what they had to do.
Of course.
To put food on the table.
Yeah. And
I watched that. They worked hard. And so that's what I knew to do. I knew to go work hard.
Yeah.
And he remember him looking at me and going, your dad gave you the best thing he could give you. And I said, what's that? And he goes, a work ethic.
Yeah.
Most people don't have work ethic.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I said, that's very true. My mom and dad listened to this podcast. So thank you guys for giving me a work ethic. It's paid off. I often tell people, I'm not always the smartest guy in the room, but I can outwork anybody.
Yeah.
Whenever else has gone home because they're tired or whatever, I'm still grinding away.
Yeah, you are. You work very hard.
So it's I think that generational wealth is that plus there's some extras. And I think when you're struggling with money, you're just trying to get by, you don't tell your kids that.
No.
And maybe you shouldn't. Maybe they shouldn't have that pressure of something they can't control.
Yeah.
But at some point, you'd say, this is what I would have done differently. This is what I should have thought about. Right.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're passing those ideals and the work ethic along. If we're talking about a really large estate, there's a really good chance that a person who doesn't know how to manage money, who inherits $2 million, is going to be a complete disaster.
Yep.
So what are you doing to make sure that doesn't happen?
Right.
And that's something we're working on as a firm. Hopefully in the next few months, we'll have a campaign centered around that to make sure that our clients' assets aren't going to be squandered on FlexJet memberships and everything else.
Sometimes people will listen to people outside of their parents too. So it's like if we can get in front of
absolutely
the next generation
absolutely.
and talk to them,
absolutely.
And it's somebody else telling them versus just their parent.
Yeah.
Or helping them or, guiding them.
Yeah. And some people don't know how to do it. They feel like, I'm just giving her a handout. They didn't have to work on anything. But I think there's ways and mindsets around that. I tell clients all the time, don't give them, the max you can give is $19,000 without having to file any additional tax paperwork. And don't give them $19,000 every Christmas.
Yeah.
They're going to expect that. It's not appreciated after the second or third year.
Yeah.
So just make it random acts of kindness.
Yeah. 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 Things they need or
things they need, or maybe a check.
Helping with college for their kids.
Kind of random. Yeah. Just kind of stepping in randomly. Don't necessarily just write checks every year. Because then if you don't write it one year, they'll be like, I didn't get my check this year. I depend on this check every single year. Then it wasn't a gift. It just became a
salary.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Expectation
that is not received the same as a gift.
That's true. That's true.
Anything else you want to add, Shauna?
No, I think that honestly wraps it up. I think it's, figuring out what you think is wealth too, because wealth for some people is not the same for other people. Like, what is your definition of wealth? Just being comfortable, or are you trying to create something bigger? Or, I think defining what you feel is wealthy. Because sometimes, like you said, it has nothing to do with money. Money's just, it's the means that keeps your family sustainable financially, and it has nothing to do with wealth, Yeah.
It could be charity. It could be a lot of different things.
Right.
Depending on what your goals and ambitions are.
Yeah.
And not everyone's going to be in the top 0.5% of income earners in the United States, right? They may pick careers that aren't part of that. And again, to me, that's what wealth does. Wealth creates the ability to say, I want to be a school teacher. Well, great. but I want to be a school teacher in a rural county. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to make more than $60,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So here I have enough wealth that I've created an account and that's going to supplement you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're doing a good thing,
Right.
or you're the artist, or you want to run a nonprofit, or you want to do these different things. Wealth now enables people to follow their passions and be really good at that, even though it doesn't create millions of dollars and more wealth.
Yeah, that's true.
So to be happy
that's wealth, because I mean,
Yeah.
or else you're doing a job you hate every single day just to make the
Right.
money to
Yeah.
buy the things that don't even make you happy.
Yes, exactly. Every insurance adjuster I've ever met makes really good money, and they're miserable people.
Yeah. It's like, great, I have the big house, but I hate what I do every day and my life is miserable.
Yes.
Like, that's not wealth. That's not even, you're not even happy.
No.
That's like, I need to reevaluate my priorities, you
Right.
know, like what is your priority there?
Yeah.
So,
and that's our role as advisors, to help kind of coach people through these conversations. It's really hard to say, this is how you build generational wealth. You know, I think the formula is, again, live below your means, save well. That can create generational wealth, but the next generation is going to squander it all if you don't teach them how to handle money.
right. 1,000%.
All right. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you want to talk with one of our financial advisors, you can do so by going to wiserinvestor.com. See you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to a Wiser Retirement podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening. That way you don't miss any new episodes. We'd also appreciate if you could leave a rating and review. If you have any questions about anything that was discussed today, head to wiserinvestor.com and reach out. This podcast is strictly for informational purposes only and is not to be considered as investment advice or solicitation to buy or sell any financial products, securities, digital assets, or any other investment vehicles, or a basis to make any financial decisions. Wiser Wealth Management Incorporated is a registered investor advisor with the SEC. The host and/or guests may personally own securities, digital assets, or other investment vehicles mentioned on this podcast. Neither the host nor guests of the show are compensated for their participation, and no referral fees are paid to or received by any host or guest for clients, listeners, or similar interests. Investments involve risk, and unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, insurance professional, and/or legal professional before implementing any strategy discussed herein. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.